Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to another Gears of War guide. This time I am making another video on wall bouncing. It's been a very long time since I've covered the foundation and I figured why not go back to basics and show you guys a thing or two. And this time with a better controller on screen that will hopefully help everybody out. So make sure you like the video if it taught you something, and make sure you leave a comment on what your favorite part of the video is. Alright guys, enjoy! So, the very first thing you want to do is find yourself a suitable area to practice. On the map War Machine, this area with the railroad tracks is perfect because in this area you can see the maximum amount of distance you have in order to slide from one wall to another. So, as you can see right here, we have the two railroad tracks. If I am in front of the railroad tracks and I press the A button, I will slide into cover. If I'm too far behind the railroad track and press the cover button, then I'll roll. Now the principle of wall bouncing is doing the right thing the entire time and just repeating the process in different directions. Now if you're completely new to this, I suggest you slow down the video, you make sure that you check the controller at the bottom right in order to see the inputs and when they happen. Essentially all you do is as you slide towards the wall, you turn your camera the other direction and press and hold the left stick forward. As you can see, I am not holding the left stick in any other direction but forward, and I'm just moving the right stick. And this is all you have to do to get started. Now as you practice, you'll be able to make these angles better, and ideally you want to switch directions and press the A button before you actually hit the wall. This will keep your momentum up and make you a much harder target to hit, as well as make it easier for you to pull off a shot before hitting the wall. This game has the tendency that when you hit a wall and you try to shoot, that you will aim out of cover, which is very, very annoying because the camera angle is not the same as when you're standing, as you can see here. Now if I'm standing out of cover, much more fluid. Now step 2 is the angles which you wall bounce at. As you can see around the map, there are loads of types of different covers all around at different angles, as well as different distances. Now in order to be an effective wall bouncer, you can't just slide back and forth a wall constantly. This will make you very predictable for better players and also not give you that much insight on what cover is very useful to wall bounce on, which isn't. Now wall bouncing is used for a couple things: attacking, defending, so running away for example, or just being annoying for the enemy player. Now in an area like this, you can wall bounce back and forth just fine. You can pretty much go in any angle and any direction you want, and there's not much in your way. But if you would try to do the same thing in between these two sandbags, you'll see that the angle is much steeper and you have a lot less time to actually hit the cover. But this means that you have to use your left stick, like you can see at the bottom right, in order to make up for the angle that you cannot look at. So instead of me looking straight at the cover, like I've done before at the rail tracks like this, I'm actually using the left stick to go left and right instead of forwards and backwards. That way I can keep my aim centered and at the same time keep wall bouncing. Again, the principle stays the same. You need to know the timing and when to do it. Another useful tip is to know that the distance that you can wall bounce from your left and right is a lot shorter than forwards. So right here, if I'm standing here and I press the cover button, I will slide into cover. But if I stand the other side and I angle myself side, then press right and A, I'll just roll. So for this, you need to be much closer to cover, which is about half the distance that you can normally wall bounce at. Now knowing this, you can perform combinations and such. So if you see this cover right here, this middle barrier and the pillar, if I wall bounce straight and then cancel out of it by pulling back on the left stick, and then pull my left stick to the right, I can wall bounce into the cover. So if there's a player standing right here, and I want to slide into there and bounce from this pillar into this, I can simply run up, cancel, and slide to the side. That way, instead of looking back and forth and just holding straight, this costs a lot of time in a gunfight in order to angle the shot, aim the shot, and actually hit the shot, of course, right? And it's much easier later on when you're playing better players to keep someone in the middle of your screen while you're wall bouncing, making them giving them a harder target, and for you it's easier because you already know how to angle yourself. So next up is the up A. The up A is one of the most used techniques in Gears of War since Gears of War 2. What the up A essentially is you slide into cover, or you're already stationary in cover, you hold the left stick forward, and as you press the cover button to go around the corner, you press the right trigger as well. As you can see, the bullets will go straight into the ground, and this is because instead of looking straight, I was aiming slightly at the ground, and as you do that, the bullets will go straight into the floor. Now, if somebody is on cover, like you can see right here, that's no big deal. But if someone is further away from you, you need to always keep your aim perpendicular with the floor. That way your bullets go straight. Now, even veteran players make this mistake, and that's because it's very hard to do this under pressure, at the same time stay mobile. But that's essentially how it works. Slide into cover, press the A button or the cover button, and pull the right trigger. My advice to all players is always learn how to aim while you do this. So instead of just pulling the right trigger, you pull both the left and right trigger. That way your shot will stay more centered, which in the beginning will obviously be more, it will be tougher to hit a shot, but ultimately when you get better at the game and get better at practicing this, you will become a better player overall, in my opinion. I'll demonstrate it on my target here. Slide into cover, press A and right trigger. Of course, one of the best ways to practice this or use this is in a wall bounce technique. So if there's an enemy on the other side of cover and you want to finish them in one shot, the best thing you can do is wall bounce towards them and up A them. And always follow through. That is a big thing in Gears of War. Make sure you commit to the attack and don't stop halfway. So the next part is the back A. All you have to do, instead of pressing forward and A, you sit in cover, you pull back on the left stick and pull the right trigger. As you can see right here, I hit the wall there, but if I angle myself slightly more to the outside and pull back, you'll see all the pellets will fly right past. Now you can do this at any angle you want, but you have to make sure that you time it right, because if you shoot too soon, you will shoot right into the wall. Now you can use an outside angle for this as well. I see this as an inside angle because I am inside of cover. This is outside of the cover. If you do something like this, then my tip is to pull the left stick straight back of cover instead of at an angle. But this would be the angle that I would pull back. If I'm looking that direction, I will pull back like this. The ideal situation, in my opinion, is to pull back the direction that the cover is facing. This cover is facing directly that way. If I'm looking that way, I want to pull back like this. That way my bullets will go straight instead of some strange angle where the character will spin around. Now, just like the up A, I advise people to aim while they do this. Again, in the beginning, it will be much harder, but as you practice this, you will get better at it and it will make you a better player in the end. I'll demonstrate this on my target here. Again, best used in a wall bounce, unless of course you're hiding from the enemy team and they're slowly coming up to you. Wall bounce, back A. Show that again in slow motion. And next up is the reaction shot. The reaction shot is one of the most difficult moves to pull off because it has a very high risk factor. Essentially what you do, it is a up A, but instead of going into a straight line, you basically hit someone at the actual opposite end of cover. If I can demonstrate it right here, that's what it would look like. The bullets will go obviously straight into the ground because that's where I was aiming, but if there's a player there, then that person will be dead. Should be dead anyway. Now, the principle of this move is that you pull off an up A, just like any other up A. Now, you angle yourself where the player is, as you press the cover button. You slide into cover, and as this small animation happens, you've already angled yourself towards it and pulled the right trigger or the shoot button and moved away from cover again. Now, I will demonstrate this on my target, who is in cover right here. As you can see, this would be an impossible angle to hit with just a regular up A. Now, with a reaction shot, you can hit players like this just fine. And the reason why it's so effective is because you can keep your momentum up and do this time and time again. Obviously, it takes a lot of practice to pull this off, but once you can do this comfortably, you'll be a much better player, and you'll have a lot more fun as well, and you won't just be limited towards the up A's and back A's. Stuff like that becomes very, very predictable when you're playing against better players, because they'll know which covers are useful for up A's and back A's and which aren't. However, a reaction shot can be used anywhere at any time, even if you're hurt. You'll see pro players do it all the time when they're in a gunfight with each other, and as soon as the other player makes a mistake and they're stationary in a certain piece of cover, the other pro player will slide in, pull off a reaction shot, and the fight will be over, just like that. Very effective. Now, one of the most important things that I keep stressing with everybody that I always play with or always give advice is to constantly push yourself. And one of the ways that I see a lot of players fail when they're wall bouncing is that they panic at trying to hit somebody while wall bouncing. A lot of players can wall bounce alone or they can shoot, but it's never at the same time. Now, the best players, in my opinion, are those that can stop on a dime, turn, and still hit somebody, right? So, right here I have my target in the middle of the train tracks, and this is a perfect way to train. Even when you're playing by yourself, you can just imagine there's someone standing there. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to wall bounce and practice my aim on this person. Now, you want to make this as difficult as you want it to be, but at the same time, make it a realistic scenario. Don't just wall bounce very slowly and look at somebody, because that's not going to work. It might work on the worst players among us, but against better players, you will not get away with it. Again, everything that I demonstrate here is situational. If you can do the best thing in the worst case scenario, chances are that you will figure out exactly how to play by yourself and you don't need any of this advice. But again, the reason why I make these guides is so that I reiterate to people that anyone can do this. It's just some people need these types of pointers. Right? They need to see what's done on the controller during live action so that they can do it themselves. Now, I'm self-taught. I've learned this stuff by myself since Gears War 2 with my friends. We just played privates for days on end. But after years of playing and coaching other people, I found out that these small hints, like looking at players and finding out what cover is useful or not, is what makes the biggest difference. Of course, guys, pressure. Okay? You have to keep the pressure. Don't be one of those players that waits on the enemy team to make a move. Now, if you're in a match that you desperately want to win, or that you really want to win, by all means, you can camp, you can do whatever it takes. But when you are clearly fighting against a team that is worse than you, or worse than your team, then take up the challenge and give players a target to shoot at. Because if you learn how to dodge among multiple enemies, then chances are you're going to be much better in a 1v1 scenario because there's only one player shooting at you. You get what I'm saying? So, that concludes this guide on wall bouncing. Like I said at the start, guys, if you enjoyed it or if it taught you something, make sure you leave a like and leave a comment on what is the most beneficial thing about the video. As always, you can find me on Twitch on a daily basis at twitch.tv/DutchyLive. Link will be in the description. And I hope to see you there, guys. Take care. Peace out. Have a great day.